Welcome to Collage of Health. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you are a repeater, thanks for coming back. Today, I'd like to do a few things. I'd like to start out with the Akashic message, a little commentary on that, and give you a health tip that I decided to do. So what I was thinking yesterday was Collage of Health was meant to be more than just the spiritual. It was also to pull from all of the domains of information that I've learned throughout the years. So I thought each day I would just give a little health tip. And yesterday's was just really briefly on how to make ginger tea. I like to kind of dive a little deeper into that, talk about the gut, Agni, and then at the end, I want to do some automatic reading to you from 2026, or excuse me, 2016. That was a interesting slip, 2016. And then finally, I'd like to read a message from the Galactic cards that I picked this morning, which seems to be very uplifting, and it has to do with much of what, on a positive note, I'm getting from the Akash of recent. So for now, let's just go to the Akash, and I'll read to you what I got today. So today is the 11th of September. Enki comes in right away, and he says, "Where have you been?" I said, "I'm here. I see." And then these curtains open on a stage. Orchestra music starts playing, and it's like the play has begun. So I'm sitting, in a stage apparently, or not in a stage, but in the audience, looking at the stage of the dark shattering of any hope that we can go back to the old. A new day is upon us. Take it. Take hold of it. And then I go up and observe the three-dimensional play from the higher realms. I get this sense of peace and calm. And then I get this awareness that a friend of mine who was in the military and is, tapped into the military said that the military is using or hiring people who can do remote viewing, which is pretty much what I do in some ways when I go up, 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 in their strategies from a militaristic perspective. So I'm in this space, it was maybe above where you remote view, but I'm like, I want to go up a little higher. So I go higher, and then there's this sense of like really peacefulness, peace and calm. And then I get a dim view of the earth. And then I go even higher, and I go up into the void. I go into the dark space where like the godly realm is, so to speak, where there's the unmanifested. So there's like this realm of looking at the situation on earth from kind of a low plane perspective, and then going higher and then above the clouds, where you're in this space of all oneness, unmanifested, before the Big Bang or creation. Let's see. So in the void, basically, like below the void, there's this feeling of peace and calm, and it's just this really heavenly feeling, so to speak. But when you get to the void, it's neutrality. Actually, there's no feeling. It's just a beingness. And then I drop down into the third dimension, or right above the third dimension, and Venezuela comes up again. And I know that was mentioned yesterday by Donald Trump in the debates, so I thought that was interesting. I see Trump's marching in uniform, I'm guessing into the United States. I don't know where, but it looks like possibly the United States. So I see these troops marching in, and they're so in sync that they're almost like robots. They're so robotic in their march. And it just harkens to me of, Nazi Germany, where you'd, get the sense that they were just so in control of the Third Reich. And I asked about the fourth quarter of this year, like what's going to happen next? And I saw fires burning in the street. And then what came through was Ho Chi Minh Trail. And Ho Chi Minh Trail, I had forgotten what it was, so I had to look it up. And apparently it is the trail, or was the trail between South Vietnam and North Vietnam, where it was like an opening for the troops to go from North Vietnam to South Vietnam and to invade the country. And then the Trail of Tears, which I do know what that was, but I looked up the specifics, and it was around 1830 that Congress approved legislation for 60,000 American Indians to be displaced from the Southeast to like the Oklahoma area to reservations. And it was basically ethnic cleansing. Many thousands and thousands of people died. I don't even know the number, but it was very much similar to what happened in some ways in Germany. Then I go to the Rockies and fog and smog, which is not something you associate with the Rockies. So I went to the weather report for the Rockies today, and it was clear. And then I did it, the deep dive. Is there fog in the Rockies, up in the mountains? And yes, there is. And then what I found interesting about smog was the smog situation throughout the country has improved of recent, except in Denver, where it has worsened. So that was interesting. Hold on to your hat. I get a sense that, so I got a sense, I wanted to know, my birthday's in the fall, and I'm thinking about going away somewhere, just taking a trip. And I got the sense that, I got a positive sense that I should do it. There's definitely things in my, with logistics, so to speak, with my own home here, getting people to come and watch my dog, or getting a person, so that, it's a song and a dance. And then I got a scroll from Jesus that said, accept. And then I was like, well, let me look into the Bible and see what the Bible says. So I opened the Bible to a passage about the destruction of Israel. And it was basically, you cannot flee what is coming. That was part of the passage. I was like, okay, I'm not trying to flee. I'm just trying to go away for my birthday. Then I see this rough, beautiful fabric being placed down. And it's the path, the way for the future of selves. This beautiful, like, not a red carpet, because it was this multicolored fabric, like almost a coarse fabric, but it was laid out. And it was like, here's the path to the future selves of you. I'm handed a key, I open a door, and I fall into the darkness. It's like I open the door with this key, and I drop down, and Jesus catches me by the ankle, and I'm pulled upside down. Just kind of interesting. I think that this has to do with maybe crucifixions. I don't know, something like that. Upside down, grab by my foot, and then I like kind of flip up. So I'm with him, and he cuts what now is a rope at my feet. And then I kind of merge. It's like this merging of the nadis, the divine feminine and masculine, and in like nadi terms, which are crossroads within the body, basically, of the yang and the yin, the receptive, the active, the masculine, and the feminine. So that masculine and feminine is out of balance in our world, and it's almost like each of us is required to alchemize that with divinity. Whoever divinity is for you, you have to alchemize it, or this is the message I get. We need to alchemize it. It feels really intense and positive. I soar up to the heavens, and then actually we both soar up to the heavens, and it's almost like this, like coming apart as we go up, we're one, and then we come apart, and then other people are coming up, and just merging with the presence of this pillar, basically, of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Let's see. So I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to read this. So this Galactic Heritage card kind of deals a little bit with that. It's by this card deck is by a woman named Lyssa Royal Holt. And she is someone who's worked with, inner self, so to speak, and her own divine masculine and feminine, and also has a connection with the extraterrestrials. She sees it very much from a positive perspective of all out there in the ethers has reached this ascension that we're reaching with them. That it's basically, she comes from a very high vibe, it's all good perspective. So this is card 65, Refining Galactic Lineage, Pleiades and the Present. Pleiades have been involved with genetic refinement projects on Earth and other planets for thousands of years, and see it as a way to be of service from a cosmic point of view. If you chose this card, then you too have most likely had this experience in other life. This is why you have an interest in ET consciousness in this life now. Always remember that learning about this subject is only meaningful if you see the big picture. Genetic projects represent the greater truth that we are one consciousness expressing itself through many bodies. There is no separation between us. So when I think of genetic projects, I don't have a good feeling. And I don't come from that paradigm of transhumanism, so to speak, if you've heard that term. What I think for me, genetic projects is my own inner alchemy of awakening my genome within me, genome. So that's how I see it. The deeper meaning of this card has to do with how all of us affect the entire holographic reality through our individual evolution. When one person evolves, so does the whole. So it's kind of like this spreading out with, with Jesus. Even though it seems as if we're housed in separate bodies, we live separate lives, this life in this physical is not really the true reality. Instead, there's only one conscious intelligence in creation that is seeing through a multitude of eyes. If you look at the journey of integration represented by this deck, this card represents how your choices and your growth lessons dramatically serve to refine and evolve creation itself. Seen from a galactic perspective, when one planetary civilization evolves, so does the whole galactic family. To simplify, this concept explained about playouts in your life, because every choice you make affects not only the future you, but the future from the present moment now. When you walk a conscious spiritual path, you affect others, and thus ensure the evolution of the galactic family. If you're reading this, you're being asked to understand this concept and trust in your own conscious actions, made with integrity and wisdom. They ripple outward and have a great purpose. You may not be able to see the effect, but it's important that you trust that these actions do indeed impact the greater whole. So from there, I'm on a catwalk, going on a catwalk, and I know that there's others are on this catwalk. So it's like this beam, it's like this darkness and this beam of wood, and you're walking, you can't even walk side to side. You're walking one foot in front of the other. And I know I'm on there. I can't see others, but I know they're on the same walk. And then I get to the end of the walk, and it seems, very precarious to be walking catwalk, not knowing where you're going to fall or what you're going to fall on. And then I get to the end and I decide to do some gymnastics or yoga, depending on what you want to call it. I start to do like almost like a balance beam, start to do back walkovers. I'm like doing flips around it. I'm going under it, going over it. I'm kind of like, my body is just free flowing. It's not bound by gravity as I'm going around this beam. And to me, what that meant was I wasn't limited anymore by the third dimension, that I could see this beam as like a catwalk of fear, or that there was so many possibilities that were safe to play into if I maintain my own sovereignty and connection to source. And it was fun. So it became almost like a fun thing of, going upside down. I was told not to be afraid. This is not real. It's a dream. Of course, it's real and it's a dream. And then that this is a play. I said, have we entered a play? And they said, yes. And you've entered it with awareness. They said, read the Bible, know the Bible. This will give you context for your world. And then I see these dark scientists. If you watch yesterday's video, last night's video, there was a scientist, a dark science, like he was shadowy scientist on this spaceship with others, dark beings, especially saw Bill Gates, and a woman who I couldn't identify. I don't want to say exactly who I think she was because don't want to go there, but yeah. And this scientist, at first I was like, oh, this man seems good. And then I realized he was really sinister and dark. And they said red pill, so to speak. And I know that comes from a movie. I don't know, it's The Matrix. I don't watch movies. So people tell me about like what I say sometimes. They're like, well, that sounds, excuse me. I don't watch movies. So, but I heard something about the red pill. So I looked it up and it sounds like the red pill is opening to unsettling truths versus the blue pill, which is ordinary reality. So to me, that was like, you could see someone as benign, who wants our best interest, but maybe behind the curtain, there's more of a agenda that we're not aware of. God wants you. Oh, I said, God, what do you want me to know? And he said, take heart, all will work out. Keep going for now. So that was the Akashic record piece. And if you want to, leave at this point, I'm going to get into other stuff. Thanks for coming. If you want to stay on, I was thinking about when I started doing this work, putting my work out there of recent, it came to me that I was told after a shamanic journey that this would be my path. And I'm going to read the automatic writing I did after that shamanic journey. I just want to say about shamanic journeying, I come from a perspective of reality at all costs. I'm not a fan of hallucinogens. I'm not a fan of psychedelics. I'm not a fan of ayahuasca, cannabis, any illicit drug, or even like microdosing, psilocybin, all of that. Now I do see ketamine, all of it. I do see in some instances it has its place, but those instances, from my perspective, are few and far between. And I could get into when I think they're appropriate. I do know that, many of my friends or many people I know have had experiences that have been awakening, and I'm glad. As long as they don't keep going back to the drug to have the awakening, they just see it as the door was opened, but they go through the door through reality means. And I do see hallucinogens as like a meta, almost like a alternative reality. What's the word? Meta reality, maybe. Anyway, I know a lot of people are going to argue with me. It's just the way I feel personally. It's just something that I'm really kind of firm on. So it's kind of a hard stop for me, just from my experience working as an NP in psychiatric nursing, mental health, and what I saw, and the risks and benefits of said drugs. So, and I think too, now that all this stuff is getting in the profit arena, the assisted psychedelics and ketamine and microdosing, now that the pharmaceutical companies are going to have their hand in it, I think that it's going to be even more nefarious. And these drugs have vibrations, and the plants have consciousness, and the consciousness is going to be determined by our level of consciousness and what we do with it. And in turn, it's going to respond to us based on the way we treat it. And when we abuse these plants, we over harvest them, when we use them for means that are low vibrating, which I know people do the ceremonies. I've heard it all. Yes, I get it. And I still feel this way. So just wanted to make that known. Sorry. And if you disagree with me, put it in the comments, because I don't expect everyone to think the way I do. I do respect everyone has their own experiences. So love to hear your counter argument. Okay, so there was a shaman. She might still come into Asheville. Her name is Norma. And Norma had done several sessions with me. She basically touches you and you go flying, depending on how high you want to go. And after one of the sessions with Norma, it came to me that this is what came to me. One of the things that came is to have a purpose to write and a responsibility to put forth into words the Akashic Christ consciousness that is perfectly aligned with spirit, to do this and not to stay in relationships that cause misalignment, and not to miss the point of other relationships. We have confidence in you. This is why we have chosen to help with this work. There will be pitfalls, and family is one that you need to take responsibility for. There is a purpose here. This will help keep you grounded, and karma interplays with all things. There are things that won't be explained to you until you return. Trust and follow your inner light, find joy. Just float. And then one of my friends who died came through, and he had messages for me. They said the only constraints are time and gravity. Respect them. When they hold you back now, they have a purpose, but no longer are they the heavy weights of the past where there was a lot of roadblocks. The path is illuminated. We will put earth beings in your presence who can help you when you are in need of them. Otherwise, move forward fearlessly. Seize the day, be present. This is a gift and joy. Take it all in, and with the grace of God, speak your words in a flowery elegance. The written word is powerful. Know that your words are heard and will resonate with whoever needs to hear. I'm just skipping over some personal stuff. So I'm not going to read the personal stuff, but that was the gist of it that came through back in September 16th or September 19th, less than a week away, or a little more than a week away. That my responsibility in this lifetime was to put forth into Akashic words, Christ consciousness, what I get, and put it out there. So I guess I'm doing my work. Who knows? So tip for the day. Yesterday I talked about ginger and ginger tea. There's also something called ginger pickle, which is a really cool, what's called a deepon, which gets your Agni kindled. And it is a little slice of ginger. You can use like a little slicer, and you put a little salt on it, like Himalayan sea salt, and sprinkle salt, squeeze some lime, and eat it like 20 minutes before you eat. and that will really kindle your Agni. You want to be hungry for your meals, and you want to feel good after your meals. So that's a good gauge of digestion. Am I hungry for my meals? Then you eat, not over hungry, but hungry, really hungry, where you're like, I'm really hungry, but I'm not hangry. And then how do you feel after your meals? Hopefully you feel good, you haven't overeaten. And then CCFT, cumin, coriander, and fennel tea is what's called a pachan. A pachan helps digest the food that you've eaten. And you can put a cocktail of even amounts of cumin seed, coriander seed, and fennel seed together and make a tea, or you can go to a site called Banyan Botanical that actually makes the CCFT itself, and you can buy it from them or some other place. So I'm going to put Banyan's link below. You can learn more about Ayurveda there. And that is the Akashic report and more for the day. Have a good one.